Hear you.
Hello and welcome to Welcome Home Radio. The waters in the mortgage industry can be pretty muddy, whether it's investing, leasing, renting, home insurance, or myths and misconceptions. Welcome Home Radio has the answers for you, the consumer. And now, to help you make the right home buying decision for you and your family, here are your hosts.
Good morning and welcome to Welcome Home Radio, where real estate, lending, and learning come together. It is December 28, 2022, and we're here for our final show of the year. We're going to do a quick overview of 2022 and kind of give you a perspective of what 2023 might look like. Want to welcome in Thom and Alan, my wonderful co-host. How are y'all?
Doing well, man. This year is almost gone, brother.
It is. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to wear from the bedroom to the living room to watch my New Year's come into play, because I just don't get out there on crazy New Year's Eve.
You're going to shave though between now and then, right, Santa Claus?
Do I have to?
Just wear your jammies and a robe.
There you go. I'm all for that. I can do that.
There you go.
Yeah, we had a tough Christmas. Grandma this year didn't have any grandkids around, so she's struggling over not having the grandkids close by.
That can be tough.
That can be.
It really can.
I guess that's why she's planning to travel out there in January.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the year for my kids to go to their other side of their family, so.
Well, we keep being told that we're coming next year, but then next year never comes. You ever have that part happen?
I haven't had that yet, but that could definitely develop itself.
That sounds like a title for a cool song.
Yeah, there you
Or
go.
a movie.
Next year never happens. Hey, want to go over what a crazy, crazy year we had. If we take a look back 12 months, I mean, we saw us fall from rates of 2.5 to 3 up to 4 or 5 and all the way up to 7 and 3/8. I just unbelievable to me what was happening this year. I mean, what is the most memorable part for you guys?
Well, I just been a different year completely. I mean, I was a realtor through the 2006, 7, and 8 thing, and that was, lots of inventory and prices were cheap on everything, and investors were buying up, and it was but sold plenty of those throughout that. This year's been compared to 2008, but I don't feel that. To me, this has just been a really huge and quick adjustment, and boy, what a difference interest rates make when it comes to home buying. And I think that's a lesson that a lot of people have relearned.
I mean, you've experienced where people are paying $50,000 to $100,000 over asking to literally non-existent activity. To me, it just seems like everything was a blur for a while, and then all of a sudden it just went to complete halt.
2022 is the only year I can remember where literally there were lines to get into an open house. and, late 2021, early 2022, unbelievable. And I don't miss that. I mean, that's not fun for anybody because there's only one buyer for every house. And back then there was like 27 upset buyers that didn't get it. And you can only go through that so many times. And that all culminated, I think, we went through that in 2022. A lot of the buyers got out of the market. They were frustrated. Now we're going to add interest rates to the mix. There's another reason I don't want to buy right now. And getting into 2023, I think a lot of stuff's going to change for the better.
Thom, what did you see for 2022? What was the biggest change or impact or notice data point for you?
Well, that Champion School of Real Estate decided they would renew my contract for another year.
That is a miracle.
That's what I thought. I have to be grateful for the small things. I don't know. I'm from the education side. I'm still taken back with the absolute number of people that are still wanting to get licensed either as loan originators or as realtors. And so you always, this comes to my topic that I really wanted to hit upon today was it's employment. And the employment factor, not only for last year, but this year, we've still maintained incredibly low unemployment figures. And that's really, it flies in the face of a recession. I listened to this presentation Janet Yellen did yesterday, and I thought to myself, there was a lot of good arguments about, well, we're going to be in a recession. It's going to be really bad, yada, yada, yada. But if you have people employed, it's hard to have a recession. It really is. And I think of my own daughter down in Austin. Austin's obviously a pretty good job market, but the young people in today's world, they know how to go about just kind of making ends meet when they have to do it. They talk about the gig economy, and Marin went down to Austin with no job, with her sharing rent with, 3 other ladies in this nice house that she, they finagled from one of our friends up here in Dallas. And as a result of that, I just was like, well, you don't have a job. What are you going to do? And sure enough, she came through like a champ. I mean, she did the Uber thing, the Lyft thing. She did the gig economy stuff, and she made ends meet until that point where somebody came along and said, yeah, we need you. And
okay, can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
I understand Uber. I understand Lyft. What is gig?
Gig economy just is a reference to the monies that can be made out with using gigabytes on the computer, getting into the economy, whether you're selling stuff across the internet or eBay. I mean, the gig economy is a reference to multiple electronic offerings that are out there to earn money. And most of them are illegal. Yep.
And a lot of them but they're called side hustles, a lot of them. And it's really happening.
Well, old people call it side hustles.
Yeah. Well, I think a few young people do too.
Okay.
Well, that's amazing. The one I always hear about, everybody that I know that's doing a side job, side hustle, side whatever, is Amazon. They love to go and do part-time Amazon work. And, the utopia is to get on their Amazon exception program where you're part-time, but you get to pick your hours, and then it matches with what your, standard business practices and allows you to do different things, whether it's on Saturday, evening times, that sort of thing. So I had not been aware of this gig economy. So something new for me to learn.
Well, Tom's right about the economy. The people working, and this is just so much different to me than 2008. It just feels different.
Right.
And it. The other thing is, I think the thing that's just bothering people a lot right now is the inflation. that is just a tough pill to swallow. And when that can come down a little bit, we'll all be better. And I think we're going to be fine. And 2022 definitely was the year of the inflation. It was definitely the year of the inflation where consumer prices went up on just about everything. And hopefully we're coming out of that. I think we are. And 2023, I think is going to be, better. So I'm really looking forward to 2023. I love waking up in the morning.
You want to see 2022 in the rearview mirror? Is that what you're saying?
2022
in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, 2022, yes. 2023, not yet.
I don't want to see that in the rearview mirror. No,
I want to look forward.
Well, I think that's a pretty good basis of what we've seen. We've seen major transitions. We see buyers and sellers. We've seen a seller's market convert to a buyer's market. And as we go into 2023, I think one of the key things that people need to be aware of, I'm sure they've seen a data point of it or heard about it, but loan limits are increasing across the board, conforming or conventional loan limits up to 726.2, and could be as high in the higher price areas over $1 million. And then of course FHA across counties 472.03. So now we're going to see effectively January 1st, 2023, these loan limits go into effect. Therefore, that makes a lot of the jumbo loans come down into a standard conforming loan limit, which allows them unique opportunities. You don't have to have a certain amount of down payment for a jumbo, or you don't have to have certain things. You can go into a standard mortgage. And as home prices continue to hold, I'm not saying they're increasing, but they're definitely not decreasing. That's going to help out a lot of buyers. Would you all agree?
Well, there was this article about high cost loans in some areas, of course, throughout the United States are high cost areas. So when we talk about the San Diego's and Los Angeles's and coastal situations, Boston's and the New York Cities, you can now put down 5% on $1 million loan.
Wow.
Think about that.
It hurts. It hurts to think about that.
It's pretty amazing.
It doesn't bother me any because I'm not going there to buy any of that stuff.
But don't you see that as a benefit to some of these people getting approved, as well as it's easier on the loan process, the qualifications, the underwriting processes, they're all standardized with that increased loan limit from 679 to. Am I the only one saying this or agreeing with this, or does that make sense?
I think you're talking to yourself.
Oh, okay.
No, think about people though that bought their homes at 730, got a 730 loan, 740 loan. What can they do next year when rates go down? They can take that jumbo rate and actually now roll it into a conventional rate, a much better rate, and that could double up as far as additional activity in the marketplace for mortgage lenders, of course, but also give relief to some of those people that had to pay. Jumbo rates are typically, higher by 1% over the conforming fixed rates.
Yeah.
I think markets have a way of being creative in situations. And, I know it's markets with numbers and algorithms and all that stuff, but companies have a way of being creative in times like these. And I think we see the best of that when things are going crazy on inflation.
Well, I think one of the things about the economy that's changing, and the other topic that I thought is right now we have an economy that a lot of people are living off of credit cards. They are maxing out their credit cards. And of course, coming out of Christmas, a large portion of the economy lives off of credit cards. They start paying that January debt off. I think we're going to see a lot of challenges in that front of debt increasing for people, especially those that are still living off of credit cards. Would y'all agree or disagree with that? Because it's been growing since really July.
And that leads into maybe missing a payment here and there. And Blair, you've said 100 times how tragic that can be when you're going to buy something, especially a house.
Yep, 100-point impact for one 30-day late payment that's recent. And
Yeah, and
recent
that
means
probably
within
goes
the
up
6
this time of
months.
year. Yeah, I would say you're right.
That's going to be hard. That's going to be hard. So what do y'all see for 2023?
Well, I come back to the employment thing. I'm kind of hung up on that because here at the trailing end of the year, we're getting announcements. Amazon laid off 50,000 people. Twitter or Twerker or whatever that thing is.
Workers.
They laid off another half of their employment workforce. So you've got these numbers being offset with these high amounts of layoffs, and so we'll see this kind of, I think, acidic type of jump in January with the actual number of people being unemployed. However, again, our economy has become so flexible with replacing people into job places. Those people that are in the technology side, the service side, the delivery side can go and find employment very quickly, even in these transitional periods. And younger people, I will say, are less stigmatized by being a waiter or waitress at Waffle House for 2 months or whatever it might be. I saw this lady on TikTok and it was funny. She sat down and she said, okay, let's count my tips from tonight from Waffle House. And she had worked an 8-hour shift. She made $240 in cash. And the night before she'd made $317. So, people are opening up the purse strings. There's a lot of people with the haves that realize there are a lot of people that have not, and it's a good time of the year to be able to help those folks.
So what do you see do you think it's improving or not improving?
I think what will happen is it will get worse, but the offset will be that there's going to be higher unemployment, but just it's going to be artificially high because again, the generation that I know that's out there in the workforce gets back into the workplace pretty quickly. They're not motivated to take government assistance or unemployment type situations. They want to go ahead and make their living. And that's what I'm experiencing or seeing from my perspective of people that come into my classroom. This is shameful, but I don't know how many people I've had come into my classroom in the last 3-5 months who are teachers saying we're done with it. They're just finished with being in that role. And I mean, they went and got a 4-year degree to do what they're doing. And they're 4, 5, 6 years into it. And they're just saying, the public treats us so badly now, we're going to quit. And that's the truth. I mean, it really is the truth. So until, we start taking better care of ourselves and loving on each other a little bit better, we're going to see those people say, I can find another solution. I'm going to go out and sell houses. I can find something where I'm self-employed. I'll start my own bakery, sell food out of my house and yada, yada, yada. So there's lots of situations in here where we're beginning to see the flexibility in our economy really does promote people finding the niche that they're happiest with, that they're not willing to be.
Well, and that's where the gig becomes the primary. The gig becomes the primary.
Yeah, right.
And it's really happening a lot. I mean, the YouTube creators have gone from, I'm going to get a YouTube channel to
I know
hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on a lot of them, so it's an interesting concept. And it goes back to what I was talking about with the creativity. Times like this do make people creative. And, it's a shame teachers are getting out of teaching, but not anybody that I know doesn't understand why they are getting out. So good for them finding something else, and, welcome, come be a realtor.
Well, I have a business owner that I know very well. He's had his retail stores for in excess of 25 years. And he hires a manager to run one of his stores. And of course, this manager wants to help out his friend, and he hires him. Got rid of an employee that was probably their best part-time employee, hired this new guy, and then 2 days later, the guy, he calls him up and says, "Are you going to show up? You were supposed to open up." And say, "No, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't want to do it." and without even calling, without even notifying, without, there's a generation also here they don't care whether they're employed or not. It seems like they're impervious to any expectation and or assumption of responsibility, but they chase the dollars, they go for whatever, and that's unfortunate. But I'm still seeing also, I see a lot of people that are having a hard time making ends meet in the retirement world that are going back and taking that welcome to Walmart job right off the front, or I saw a 92-year-old man working security at an event for a company, a veteran. And it was great to see him there, but he says, well, I enjoy doing this. I do it, and it helps me out to make ends meet. So good for him.
Yeah, and that's always gonna be the case. It goes back to your thing about debt. If you're in a lot of debt, that's never a good thing through life. I mean, it doesn't really serve a good purpose. And obviously the older you get, that can really magnify when you retire, if you're in a lot of debt. And, I know some senior, what do you got to be 60 to get a reverse mortgage, or 62?
62.
Yeah. 62. And I think that happens, it's happening. Blair, what are you seeing on that for 2023?
Well, again, as we see rates come down, if a reverse mortgage is positioned properly, a data point for a reverse mortgage is, people don't understand this and don't believe it, but 63% of all reverse mortgages are done by multimillionaires. And the reason is that it's a very good, lucrative spot of taking equity out of the home. But also, if you pay it off, you're borrowing against the home. But there are certain positionings of investments that you are able to have along with that. And it's just a positive thing. Now, certain environments, hey, a reverse mortgage is the only way they're going to make to get food and or take equity out of their home. And the bottom line is that the guidelines have changed so positively for the borrower that they're not going to lose the equity that they're giving up, or that they maintain in the home. So they're not going to lose that generational inheritance. It doesn't go away. It's shared with the bank, but it's still inherited by your children or so forth. So hopefully that can overcome. But as rates get better, I think reverse mortgage will definitely still be utilized and be a positive. One of the neat things I noticed for my own self in this transition 2022 to 23, I changed jobs from Highlands to Cardinal, and I went from Cardinal to where I'm able to originate in all 50 states. I have access to loans that I hadn't had access to, like I-10 loans, like some of the cash flow investor portfolio bank statement solutions in-house, as well as the one thing that I really moved for was the VA construction loans. I am able to do construction loans with custom home builders. And I see this as a great opportunity because people buying property wanting to build that forever home, and they're able to customize that home and they're able to finance it themselves. And they literally are able to do everything under one roof, where instead of having the builder build it in a certain way and then finance it and do, you don't have to have two closings. All of those sorts of things are for that. So I'm literally maintained all my loan opportunities, but gained so many more, including location being I can originate in all 50 states. So that's exciting for me for 2023. I hope reverse mortgages, I answered your question, Alan, on that. I think I see it being utilized much more as the baby boomers continue to age into that 62 and over group. Mm-hmm. So, Thom, I can barely see your face just due to your mark, so I didn't know if you knew that or not.
That's just because I'm kind of sitting back, relaxing.
I understand, but we want to see your pretty shiny face. I mean,
Thom, in 2023, I had a question for you because, as a realtor, our biggest dues are due in December. And you see a lot when people get out of the business, they generally do it in December before they have to pay again. And I know it's been a tough year for a lot of realtors. And many have gotten out of the business, and that's the same for lending. I'm pretty sure a lot of lenders got out of the business. So what are your prospects when you're teaching realtors and they're coming in? What kind of attitudes do they have, and where are they getting their inspiration and that kind of a thing? That, to me, that's an interesting, dichotomy.
Well, I think they look a lot to the instructional part that they get with champions, because most everybody that is an instructor is active in the business. Now, if you teach full time, you're not allowed to be full time active in the business, but the majority of people are contract teachers, and they have the opportunity to share with those people about what they're seeing, what's going on. We try not to candy coat it, but it's a positive. When I got in the business back in '09, when I got back in the business, you whippersnappers.
Now tell us honestly, Thom, how much were caves going for back then?
Well, they were.
You mean in 1909?
You could get a nice cave all decked out for about $45,000. I think my first house cost me $50,000, so my first cave. But we were doing contracts on stone tablets at that time too, so a lot of things have changed and improved from that standpoint. But I tell folks that when I got in the business initially, I really wasn't a consideration of mine. Well, what is the interest rate? What is inflation? Which was in the teens, both those items. My thought was, all these people are getting discouraged leaving the industry. That leaves more business for me to have. And so I always try to point that out with the young folks, that if people are getting discouraged, then it does mean that you're going to have to work harder, I would feel. But at the same time, when you're working harder, you're going to reap more rewards in the long run because of that. So I just, there was this statistic that stuck out to me this week about realtors. 37% of the people, realtors that rent, couldn't pay their monthly rent in October. And I think it went up in November from that. So we're talking about, the economy is devastating from the standpoint of the housing market, but when you're an independent contractor, you can go and do some other things. You can look at investing in property. You can look at, doing instruction if you're good at and know what you're doing. You can go and property manage. You can go and, there's tons of things out there that are alternatives to fall back on in the real estate business. That's the beauty of being in it. It's not just one tentacle. I got to get a buyer and sell them a house, or I've got to find a guy that wants to sell his house. It's much more multi-layered than that. And we try to really teach that multi-layering allows you flexibility to, go to and gravitate to what you're good at doing.
Yep. That's great. And I think it's a good time. I always think it's a good time to be a realtor. Every family ought to have one.
Right. I understand that argument totally.
Yeah.
Well, you do have to multitask, and we have seen the change. A lot of organizations, a lot of lending organizations are closing their doors, cutting back dramatically. We've had to, as we call it, cut the fat here. And, that's hard on the industry, but that also means the people that are in the industry are the top of their line, top of the market, and are able to help you out. So that's a good thing as well. But for 2023, I see this market as being contentious. I see builders not building as much, continuing on their profit margin and only building when necessary. A lot of custom home builders are going out of business, or they're cutting back dramatically to the point of finding that second job, or that, as you call it, gig economy job. It's going to be interesting, I think. And I think the first quarter is going to be our real data point for the rest of the year.
Well, it's like I forgot the guy that said it a long time ago, but when people are pessimistic about a market, that's the time to buy. And when they're optimistic, that's the time to sell. True today. And I'll tell you right now, the billionaires are buying land that they'll build on, and people are buying right now. They're buying factory equipment when factories go out of business. They're getting a heck of a deal on stuff. That's how it works. We're in a cycle right now. And right now is a great time. I keep saying it. And it's not just because I'm a realtor. It's because I have friends and family members. And, you know, it's just a good time to get out there. If you qualify to buy a home, it's a good time to do it. And if you're not sure about it, talk to Blair. Blair will let you know. And you'll know exactly where you stand. And then I'll be happy to help you find a house. Or if you live in another state, I can help you find somebody to help you buy a house. So
There you go.
You know, that's what it's all about right now. When people are pessimistic about stuff, it's a good time to buy. That hasn't changed.
That is so true. Well, guys, I think this has been a wonderful year. Thank you so much for the opportunity to partner with you and host this show. I wish y'all, your family, a happy new year, and want to thank our producer, Head Monkey Butt. He's awesome, but he is in Michigan where it's very cold, and I believe it's supposed to be in the 9s up there during this time. So
go start the plow, Ma.
Mark, I hope you're staying warm and wishing everybody.
Is there gas in the generator, honey?
Wishing everybody a happy new year. I'm Blair Thomas.
And I'm Thom Hulme.
I'm Alan Pace.
God bless. Happy New Year. We'll see you next year.
Happy New Year, everybody.